Assalamualaikum and hi. My name is Zulfazli Yusrin bin Zulkarnain. My matric number is CF180026. Today I would like to introduce to you about our project introduction. Firstly, a beam is a structural element that primarily resists loads applied laterally to the beam axis. Its mode of deflection is primarily by bending, resulting from the loads applied to the beam result in reaction force at the beam support points. Second, the total effect of all the force acting on the beam is to produce shear force and bending moment within the beam that in turn induce internal stresses, strain and deflection of the beam. Third, based on the architecture drawing for a two-story building, which must consist of the building floor plan, ground, first floor and roofs, elevation, view and cross-section. If any, we need to design the suitable types, size and arrangement of beam reinforcement in every beam in the structure. And last but not least, in this project, we chose the first floor from architectural drawing as our proposed structural layout plans, with every single beam in this region will be classified into two categories: simply supported beam and continuous supported beam. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Muhammad Rais bin Muhammad Shukri. My ID number is CF180208. And now I want to tell you about the methodology. Okay, we go to their step. Okay, first from plan the structure layout, which is ground floor, first floor, second floor, and also roof, using AutoCAD software. Okay. For the first step, we should to identify which is beam need to be designed, continuous beam or simply supported beam. Okay. For the second step is propose the suitable and practical beam size. Okay. For the third step, we identify the material property, which is unit weight and strength. Okay. For the next step is we should identify the permanent and variable action to be used for designing, referring Eurocode 1 and Eurocode 2. Okay, for the next step, we should also analysis and distribute the load from slab to the beam. Okay, after that, we should to analysis and start designing for selected beam based on structural layout plan, which is flexural reinforcement and shear reinforcement. Okay, for the next step is checking for deflection and cracking. Okay, for this part, if you get the result if not required for reinforcement, you can go to redesign for reinforcement at analysis and start designing for selected beam based on structure layout plan. And if you get not required at beam size, you can go to redesign for beam size at propose the suitable and practical beam size spec. So if you get required for the result at checking for deflection and correcting, you can just go to the design output, which is to do beam detailing. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Ijlal bin Alias and my ID number is CF180129. Okay, so today I'm gonna present about layout plan for our project. For figure 2A shows architecture layout ground floor plan. For figure 2B shows architecture layout first floor plan. For the figure 2C shows architecture layout lower roof plan.
For the figure 2D, shows architecture layout upper roof plan. For the figure 2E, shows architecture layout section X and section Y plan. For the figure 2F, shows architecture layout elevation 1 and elevation 2 plan. For the figure 2G, shows architecture layout elevation 3 and elevation 4 plan. For the figure 2H, show the structure layout ground floor plan. For the figure 2I, show structure layout first floor plan. For the figure 2J, shows structure layout upper roof plan. And lastly, this is the layout plan that we propose for design beam for simply supported and continuous. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, Assalamualaikum and hi. My name is Muhammad Nasrullah bin Ridwan. My NIP number is CF180101. Okay, now I will present about my part, which is discussion for group. Each of member are required to design one simply supported and one continuous beam for the purpose building. So we decided to use a specification as shown. Slab thickness is 150 mm. Brick wall is 2.8 meters. Design life 50 years. Fire resistant R50. Exposure class XC3. Unit weight concrete 25 kN per meter square. Characteristic strength FYK 25 Newton per millimeter square. Characteristic strength of steel FYK 500 Newton per millimeter square, and also characteristic strength of link FYK 500 Newton per millimeter square. Okay, next, based on analysis and result for our calculation. So for me, my part is simply supported and continuous. All these two beam I designed as L beam, and purpose size for simply supported is 200 times 300 mm. For continuous, my purpose size is 250 times 625 mm. For active, simply supported is designed as L beam and purpose size is 200 times 300 mm. For continuous, he designed T beam. Purpose size is 225 times 525 mm. And for raise, simply supported, he designed L beam. Purpose size is 200 times 325 mm. And for continuous beam, also he designed as T beam, also with size 200 times 325 mm. And for Ijlal, simply supported, he designed as L beam. Purpose size is 200 times 250 mm. And for continuous beam, he designed T beam. Purpose size is 275 times 675 mm. And for Zul Fadli, simply supported, he designed as L beam with size 200 times 300 mm. For continuous, he designed T beam, and purpose size is 200 times 322 mm. So, for detailed calculation and analysis, we attach in the full report. Okay, that's all for me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Atibil Zakaria and my metric number is CF180056. Okay, today I will continue our group project presentation, which I will be explaining about conclusion. In a conclusion, the purpose of this project have been achieved, which is each member have been designed a simply supported beam and a continuous beam, which is plain beam, either L beam or T beam. Okay, then all members also able to identify which beam needed to be designed, either continuous beam or simply supported beam. And lastly, all members also able to identify the material properties and the permanent and variable action to be used for designing. That's all from me. Thank you.
Apapun mereka bilang, tekadku takkan hilang. Jalanku masih panjang, garis akhir yang ku pandang. Apapun mereka bilang, tekadku takkan hilang. Jalanku masih panjang, garis akhir yang ku pandang. Apapun mereka bilang, tekadku takkan hilang. Jalanku masih